Hey everybody, I'm Angelique Duffield from Bright Spark Media, and I'm also a photographer and an instructor at the Center for Arts and Technology, where I talk about social media for whatever business it is, using all sorts of different all the different social networks, and I talk a lot about using social media for networking. So thank you so much for inviting me here today and letting me teach you about social media and images and SEO and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to try a few different things because Hangouts are fun, as Shana's realized how challenging they can be. But what we're talking about first is images and the search engine optimization. So I'm going to talk on a couple of different aspects. Can you see my banner right there?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, I'm going to try doing it this way, or I'm going to try screen sharing. Does it look really kind of jagged in that for you, or is it pretty clear?
It's pretty clear. You look okay, you guys?
I might try a different way.
There we go. It just came into focus. Oh.
Okay. Because I came on to Hangouts this morning, and all of the slides that I had uploaded are not there, so that's my lower third and everything. So, yay, the joy of technology. Okay, so there are two different things that I'm going to talk about, like I said, and we'll be talking about kind of image SEO when you're uploading pictures to your website, some kind of tips and tricks that helps your images actually get found. And the other part I'll talk a bit about is social media and kind of images for social media. So did everybody get a chance to look at the SEO or the image sizes cheat sheet?
Yeah, it's in your attendee hub if you had a chance. It's in the pre-event materials, and you're welcome to. We'll use that tomorrow. Actually, use it.
Okay.
So,
okay,
yeah.
I'll refer back to it today too. But let me just go back to myself over here.
It looks like I have it somewhere in my.
So one of the first things we'll just dive into is SEO. So does everybody know what SEO is? Does anybody have any ideas?
Yeah.
Google Juice.
Google Juice.
Yes, I've used that term myself. That's awesome. So search engine optimization, and it's just how things get found in a search. And it's not just Google. It's for Bing and Yahoo. They also have search engines, but we forget about that. And the better you can optimize your images, the better it's going to help you to get found. And those images can obviously lead back to your website and then hopefully get your artwork sold, or for myself as a photographer, get me hired. And just as an example, I've created just a little video from one of the really big resorts here. So I'm a wedding photographer as well. And there's a bunch of pictures from a shoot that we've done there as well as a wedding. And that gets me referrals to my website because it's all keyworded, and that's the big thing that we're going to be talking about, to the location that I want people to find me for. So it's something like wedding photographer Kelowna Vernon Sparkling Hill Resort. So that shows up in search just by the way that I've named it. So whether it's an image or a video, you can name things the same way, and think about keywords in your target audience whenever you're trying to whenever you're uploading any images or videos. So that goes for anything on your blog or your website, and even in social media too. I try and keep up that same habit when I'm uploading things to Facebook and Google Plus and Pinterest and that. Especially with all the image sharing too, you want to make sure that people can see it. And if it's really important to you, I'm not sure if you're going to be talking about this anywhere else, but because I use Photoshop and I use Bridge, I can actually embed the metadata, and I have it all very specific. So my copyright details, links and keywords and everything, it's all embedded actually into the image, and that actually does upload. So for instance on Facebook, and I'm kind of diverting from where I was going to start, but if I upload those images, that tag stays there. So if I've done a photo shoot for somebody and I upload it, it actually does keep the copyright, and it actually puts that as description on Facebook.
So why is that important?
Some of it is you were just talking about copyright protection. It's just, it helps you a little bit. It's not that people, for the most part online, they don't intend to infringe copyright. a lot of them just think that the images are there to use. So especially when it's things like artwork or beautiful landscape pictures of things, you see them shared all the time, and people don't realize that if it's on Google, it's not just free for all. So having it embedded does kind of, well, it helps you if it helps you to give like a sharing message. It does, if it's automatic, it's gonna help it, and it also does help with search too. So
leads people back to the source too, even from a non-legal standpoint, just from trying, even if it's, yes, Google is finding it, but even if I find a picture on Pinterest or somewhere else or on Google, and I want to know where it's coming from, if it's embedded in the image, I can go straight to the source instead of going through 5 different websites to try and work my way back to where it came from.
Yeah, so I will try and show that if I can. I wasn't planning to do that, but if we have time, if you remind me at the end, I will open, and when I screen share, I will do that, because it's just something good for you to know. Do all of you use like Photoshop or Lightroom?
Yes.
So in Lightroom, you can embed your keywords and things like that too. So if you've noticed, when you upload, it actually gives you the option. So try and think of your target market keywords, and that's just kind of overall bulk keywords. But then I actually go into Bridge, and I can set a custom metadata template for each photo shoot or for each location or whatever it's for. And that's where I actually export my images for. It's kind of a 2-step process for me. I'm not sure if anyone else does that, but that's my process.
Now, a quick and easy for someone who doesn't use Photoshop or any of the fancy schmancy software, like, if you have an image that you've created, a photograph that you just have, or using PicMonkey or Canva, I believe that you can, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you can find at least the alt tag spot information if you have saved it as a JPEG and you right-click and open properties. Am I correct on that?
I've never looked for that, so I'm not sure. Sorry.
That's okay. We'll experiment with it tomorrow when we're working with images. I believe that you can do some minimal, at least decent SEO optimization just by right-clicking and going into properties.
Awesome. That's good to know.
There.
On WordPress?
No, just any computer. Any computer. You don't even have to have a program. You just open your image, right-click, go into properties, and it'll say like the title, add tags, description, and if you put your keywords in there, that will help. That should help. It may not be as in depth as doing something in Bridge, but I've played with it a little bit. I haven't gone as far into it as I should, but we'll do that.
Yeah, that's really useful for me to know too, because of course I have the program I have. I don't ever look at the other one.
Exactly. Yes.
And I think what I'm going to do now is I'll just actually start sharing my screen, since I can't get the slides up there. And I did screen captures yesterday in case I couldn't find the links, so I've got them all as demos here. So I'll just kind of dive in and.
Just gonna remove the chat box here because it's. Oh, I screen shared.
Oh.
Hang on.
Okay.
All right, I think we're okay.
So tell me if you can see, it says image SEO for websites.
Yep, it looks like it's from maybe possibly a PowerPoint, or you have your various slides up there. Awesome.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right, so we're going to talk about file sizes. If you've ever gone to a website and it takes forever to load, especially if you're on your mobile phone or if you've got a low-speed internet connection, it's really important to try and optimize your images with the right sizes. And if you're on a free website that's hosted somewhere, I have a really old website for my photography business. It's about 7 years old, through a company called ClickPick, and it's a bit like Squarespace, I think. And there's limits on how much data I can store on there, and I have to pay a higher fee yearly to have more images stored. So if you think as a photographer or as an artist, you're going to have a lot of images, and you're gonna want to save a lot of things in there. The smaller the images are, the more space you're going to have. So for instance, on a blog post, 600 by 600 is fine. If you know that you're only going to use it in a blog post and you're not going to ever use it bigger and upload it somewhere else, like you're not going to use it for your header, then it's okay to just upload as smaller files. But if you're going to use the big header photo, or the slider that you have at the top of a lot of websites now, 1280 by 720 is a good size. And so when you're saving it, you can save it as a JPEG, 75 to 100 DPI, and 8 to 10 quality setting is good enough for the internet, because you've got to keep in mind people aren't printing this. Or you can save it as a PNG as well. Okay. So obviously, go ahead.
I'm just going to stop you for half a second. Is there anyone in the room that would like a little clarification on any of the terms that she's using with DPI, pixels, JPEGs, and stuff like that, or does it make sense at this point? Because it can be kind of tech talk if you haven't used it before. Does it make sense? Does it feel okay? Have you used it? You've used okay. I just want to make sure, because you're not specifically visual, so I know that sometimes I start talking in JPEGs and what are you saying to me?
Yeah, I have Photoshop or Lightroom, but I have done a little bit of photo editing, so awesome. I'm good on those.
Perfect.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure everyone was.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, feel free to stop me if it's something that you wanted to clarify. That's no problem. Okay, so faster loading is another thing that I talked about right at the very beginning, because you don't want people to just kind of abandon your website when they first get there. And if it takes 3 to 5 seconds to load, that's too long in today's terms, right? So people are going to just jump off without even seeing your work, and of course that's what you don't want to happen. And I've already talked about the file space issue too. So let's get more into the actual SEO. So you said Shana, you're going to talk about keywords later, so I won't dive too much into that. But basically, you want your keywords to be whatever your industry is, or your target market, or if you're location based and you want people to come to a gallery or something, or to come and visit you at your studio, whatever it is, you want to use keywords that people can search for you. So before you even upload the image, make sure that you actually name the file. Now, a lot of people make this mistake, so you'll see things like img7449.jpg. So that's an opportunity for you to name the image, and it's just one more place that's going to have your keywords and your name, obviously, too. If it's as an artist, it's important. So then when you get into website, then you have the opportunity to add your title and the alt description. And I may as well just screen share.
While you're screen sharing real quick, I'll give an example. So let's say you have an image of, I'll use design as an example. You have an image of a kitchen that you designed for the Brown family, and you want that to rank on Google for someone who is searching for someone who does design work with kitchens. So you might want to say, Best Kitchen by Bree Moritz, or Beautiful Kitchen by Bree Moritz, or Brown Kitchen by, put it, you need to think, you need to get into your ideal client's mind and think, when they're looking for what I do, what words are they using? Not how am I going to describe it. Don't use lingo, don't use words that are only familiar to you. Use the words that they're going to be searching for to find your product, image, service, whatever it is. Okay. Go ahead.
That's right. And I was actually going to give an example of that. So if you just want to talk for 2 seconds, I can't get into my website for whatever reason, so just go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah, that's all right. I will keep going with that. So what I'd like to do is do a quick round robin around the table. Throw out a word that you think your ideal client would be searching for that would bring them to what you do. So when they're thinking of the room, or thinking of the kind of healing work that you're doing, Liz, or thinking of legal work, they're not thinking your lingo. What words are they looking for? So think about that really quick. I mean, kitchens is pretty easy. They're probably looking for kitchens. So maybe write down 3 or 4 words that you think that your ideal client is going to be searching for. And then that's going to lead back to you. And then we'll go round robin, just throw them out there and see if there's anything surprising or interesting or anything like that. And if you're stumped, maybe start with a list of, okay, here's how I describe what I do, and then use your translator tool in your brain and translate that into client speak.
So whenever you're ready, you can jump back to me, and I'll just go into this from my WordPress website.
Okay, I'll give them 30 seconds to write, and I'll share them out.
Yep. And I'll actually go through and get people to shout out examples too.
Awesome. Okay. We'll go into a little bit more depth in the second half of the hour into this, because this is what we're going to be using tomorrow when we actually are doing some image creation and saving the tags onto our images. And this translates what you're going to be doing with images this kind of keyword work is going to translate into your copy as well. So even if you feel like you don't have a lot of images, it translates into your copy as well. I just think images is something that we tend to skip over, and if we have a lot of visual things on our website, it's really important to be taking that into consideration, because if you are sharing what is being shared from your website, if you're writing a blog post and you've got very minimal copy and a big painting, and people are sharing that painting, you want to make sure credit is coming back to you. Or if you're doing some sort of healing work and you're not talking so much, but you're showing this image of this your beautiful space, or someone who is having this wonderful results, or whatever it is that your image is, you want to be sure that it's coming back to you. Okay. Are you good, Angelique?
Yes. So can you see my WordPress website? This is the back end. So I'm not sure how techy all of you are if you do your own websites, but this is what it looks like when I'm uploading any of the images or blog posts or anything like that on my website. So can everybody see it?
Yeah. Yep, we can see it. If you want to look closer, you're welcome to, but
it's okay, I'm going to open it up. This is the media library. So all of your images are saved in a big file. So you can see I've got 356 images, and when I talked about making sure that you use the right size, then the more I've got in there, of course, I might run out of space at some point in time. But if I click on any image, so let's pick one here, it will actually come up and show all of the actual description for it. So on the right-hand side here, this is all the image data. So the name of the image that I uploaded, so that's the file name. You can see it's a really, really long file name, and that's partly because I've keyworded it. So the file is actually called Bonus Facebook Cover Templates, Brights, Canva, Tutorial, click here. And then it's the file type and the size. So when you look at actual images, back it should say, the edit image here, it should go into the alt tag and the titles, which it's actually not doing. That's strange. Okay, let me go to this from another angle. I'll just add a new image. It'll just be easier to show you this way.
And we'll look at this individually with your images tomorrow. We'll actually go in behind the scenes. We're going to have our tutorial with Christy about creating your branded images, how to use Canva and PicMonkey, so that if you don't necessarily have to go into Photoshop to do some really quick and easy stuff to upload, or if you don't need Photoshop, because we don't all need it, those are great tools to use to do some really beautiful modifications. I use those kinds of tools, or even like apps with Instagram that you can just put stuff on real quick. So if you want to get crazy with your social media on the fly.
Okay, you guys, so it's showing you. This is actually completely different than it was when I've last looked at it. This is really strange. So joy of internet stuff. So this is the image that I just uploaded. That's the actual file name. So it's not a great file name because it's 5 easy steps to what. If it's important for your artwork, you would probably have your name in there too, and I would probably rename it something like 5 Easy Steps, Awesome Facebook Page for Your Business, or something like that. So Facebook pages, because I teach social media, because people might be searching for how to create an image or how to create a Facebook page. So think of the tags that people would be looking for. And then here, the caption is actually what shows up almost like a border when you see people have images with like a banner right under the image. That's for, if it's important to you, you can put a description or you can put your copyright notice. So that actually shows up as on the picture on the website or blog. But this is what's important right here, the alternative text. So this is where you want to include your keywords as well. And if it's your image or it's location-based or it's related to your business in any way, then you want to use those keywords here. So mine could be infographic design, 5 ways to get Facebook pages ranked in Google or something like that. Because that's kind of questions that people might be asking that are related to, say, this infographic, for instance. So I'm going to just pop back over to the slides, and let me just show you some. Actually, let's just go back to these images here. I'm not sure how well you can actually see them. zoom in a bit. So just looking at these images, let's just go for an example. This one right here, if you can see it, this is you know, a couple kissing in front of a historic building. So if I was using that image for the client, I would call it, you know, Smith Wedding 752. So that's, you know, all the images would be in a sequential file. And for the couple and for myself and my own records, if I'm, you know, creating their album, then it's obviously important for me to know where this picture is just in the sequence. But if I'm going to upload it to my website or use it for, you know, my Facebook page or something like that, I would rename it differently in terms of keywords. So for this image, I would probably call it something like bride and groom kissing at Chatsworth House, Derbyshire, England, wedding. Because I'm probably going to shoot a few weddings at this same location, so I want to be found for doing wedding photos at the specific location, which is called Chatsworth House, and Derbyshire is, you know, like the state or province in the UK. This one up here is at the very top. You can see it's just an architecture. So this is actually at a place called Sparkling Hill. So let's say I do architecture photography. I would probably call it Sparkling Hill Architecture Front Foyer or Landscape Twilight, something like that. Vernon, BC, because that's the city that's located in. So can you see I'm starting to think of not just describing the picture or not just how it is relative to my shoot, but actually how people might be looking for my services and naming things in that way.
I would love to add something here. This whole sense of tagging is translated across pretty much every medium there is on the internet. It's going to be, you can tag, like I said, your copies. You're not really tagging it, you're inserting your keywords, or you're talking about your content that's using keywords that you want to be found for. But also when you think about hashtagging, and you see a lot of random hashtags, and there's like, you're like, what are they talking about? Well, when people search a hashtag for cute cat, they want to find cute cats. They don't want to find someone who likes cute cats, who's thinking about them. You know what I mean? Or if you're, hashtagging your artwork, you should be hashtagging what people would be searching for to find that particular artwork.
That's
They're
right.
going to be looking for bold colors. They're going to be, so you want your tags to not just be random things out of the blue. If you're tagging stuff, hashtagging stuff on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of those other things, you want it to be relevant. Even if it's quotes. If you have a quote, about your Reiki healing work and you're posting that on Instagram or Pinterest, put in Reiki healing work as a hashtag. Put in whatever words people will be searching for to lead to what you're offering. Yes.
I have a quick hack. Pinterest is their new system where if I type in dresser, it shows me modern, contemporary, blue,
awesome,
whatever. And so I've started like using that as my keyword of I want to paint a dresser ideas, and then it gives you those ideas. But I think it works for a quick hack of kitchens. Okay, well, what should my hashtags for kitchens be?
Look it up, see what they are.
And I mean, they're filling it in right along the top of the Pinterest board now.
People are looking for.
Yeah.
And I will add to that, I'll piggyback on that. If you are confused about what your tag words should be and what the heck am I talking about, look at the industry leaders that are most closely aligned with how you particularly work, and look at what they're tagging their work as. Right? What kinds of hashtags are they using? What kinds of tags do you see? You can click on their images, and if they are using SEO tricks and tips like this, you can see that information. I'm not telling you to copy and steal it, but just use it as a model to see, okay, they get their client avatar, they're doing well. How can I translate that, reverse engineer this into what I'm doing to use a similar model? You can even do that with YouTube videos. If you're using video as a source for your marketing, you should be tagging your videos for things that people are searching for, and you can actually look at what other people are tagging their videos as.
And actually, just a point on that, they're no longer having tags. So, and people have been penalized for keyword stuffing. So,
Yeah.
for instance, you might see like 20 different tags. Now, these aren't hashtags. These are the actual tags, and this has happened over the last year or so, that tags are being kind of ousted. But hashtags are definitely important. So even in your description, like I said, this applies to, and Shana's just said too, it applies to anything that you're doing, that you're uploading onto the web. The hashtags are important in your video descriptions too. And since we're on the topic, when you're uploading your video, the first 1 or 2 lines is really important. And just like blog posts or YouTube videos, the first 5 words, for instance, are the most important. They're most heavily weighted in a search. So think of your keywords and put them in that first slot. Don't waste it by putting your name, because if people search for your name, they're going to find you. And people aren't searching for Angelique Duffield. They're searching for wedding photographer Kelowna. So use those words in the beginning of your YouTube video description, your YouTube video title, your photo title, things like that. And put your hashtags inside your YouTube video description.
Beautiful.
Okay,
Brilliant.
so this is an example of I do a hangout on air, actually a chat show basically, and Chantel is going to be a guest later on this afternoon, I think, here at UAI. So what I do for each of the shows, a lot of people don't do this, but let's say you're doing videos or you're using your images, and this is kind of a bit about repurposing. So I create a blog post for every one of the video shows and put show notes. If you listen to podcasts, they quite often have show notes. So just a few things that we've talked about. So basically all these sentences and these talking points, they're keyword phrases that people could be searching for and come to my website for too. So all these things I just pulled out of the conversation. You know, it's a 1-hour interview show. So people might be looking for those sort of things. And then I create a graphic. So this is, you can see you're able to pin it because I've got the Pinterest bookmarklet up here. And I can actually pin that directly to Pinterest. But if you click on it from here, it doesn't just open up into the library. So you saw the library where it is in my WordPress. And most people don't actually do anything with the link. They leave the link to the library. Well, that's not really getting you any kind of benefit. But when I upload any images, I actually change the location to somewhere that's really important. So for instance, I would rather people click on this image and it opens up the video instead of opening up the, instead of just going to show an image. So you can see it's actually going to start playing our interview show. So I'm just going to stop that. So you see what I mean? I'm actually using the link to go somewhere that's related to what we've talked about, or to another service, or even to another page that's related in the discussion, instead of just coming back to the library location where it is in my WordPress directory, basically. Because each image is, think of it like an actual library with the Dewey Decimal System. Each image actually has its own file name within your website. So I've just changed that to be something that's useful, like actually going to the video so they can play and watch it. So does anybody have any questions about that sort of stuff?
I do.
Go for it.
Sure.
Do you have any tips for optimizing images for Retina display? And I know that images that are not at 300 dpi tend to look blurry in a Retina display screen. So I've been uploading like say for instance a 600 pixel wide image, but at a 300 dpi resolution so that it look good on Retina display. Like I try to optimize it so that it looks good on both sides, but just anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough call because we've got so many things that we're competing for nowadays, right? So you want to conserve space, you want it to load quickly, and then you want it to be optimized. Now Retina display is a big thing. So you kind of have to make that decision yourself. I haven't worried about it. A lot of my images are actually lower file size, and that's partly because I don't want people copying them and printing them out too, especially with my wedding photography or family photos, because people will just screen capture them and print them out. And I worked at a photo lab for years, and people would have really crappy images from their phone, and they print it out, it's totally pixelated, and I'm like, oh, that's not very good. And they're like, oh, it looks great. And I'm like, you know. So people don't care what it is. They'll screen capture and use it anyway. So That's why I've had things kind of lower resolution for that reason. Like I said, also to load up quicker, because if you save a whole bunch of things at 300 dpi, it's a huge file size, and like we talked about, if you're ever landing on a website and it takes forever to kind of scroll down the picture and eventually it loads, that's because the file size is big. So I don't have a right answer for that. It's kind of a what your preference is and whatever works best on your computer. And the more images you create as a photographer, I create tons, and as any kind of artist, you're going to have loads of pictures. So you have to just make that decision what's going to be important. I'm sorry, it's not a concrete answer, but technology changes all the time, and yeah, and it's hard to keep up with it.
That's great. That's great. Awesome.
So I'm still. Oh, okay. I'm still screen sharing, right? Okay.
Do you write underscores between words when you name like a long name for an image or anything like that?
I don't anymore. WordPress does do that, I believe, when it uploads, but that's more of an older file style. Like when you 5 and 10 years ago, when you were saving images in files, then yeah, that was the method. But now, search, even on your computer, like whether it's a Mac or a PC, has gotten better, so it's not important to do that anymore. I'm not absolutely 100% positive about it, but I remember somebody talking to me about it and saying, oh, that's really old school, you don't need to worry about underscores.
Got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want me to move into like social image hack or social media hacks? Because
yeah, why not?
Okay.
No worries.
So I think you've gone on to, you've already given some examples, or you're going to go through with them, just kind of naming their own images, right? So you'll go through that with the keyword tool in a minute. Do you want to do that?
So I'll just, if you have something for that, feel free to.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, also I'll just show you some social media stuff, because this is something that people kind of forget about. So I've given the social media sizes cheat sheet for you. So this is what it looks like if you haven't seen it already. And it's just the image sizes for Facebook, Google+, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest, because those are kind of the most popular. So beside the cover photo is obviously one of the most important things, and then uploading your profile picture and your status updates, basically. So every time you upload a picture, we're all clear now that you want to make sure that it's keyworded. But besides that, things like your cover photo. This is my Twitter cover photo. Think of using images as to help promote yourself, and this is something that people don't really do. So when you're creating graphics, think of creating things that people can share. That you know, photo quotes, for instance, are really popular. So if you're an artist and you've got artwork of your own, whether it's photos or paintings or whatever, you can create photo quotes and just put it onto your own work. Because if it's out there, people are probably going to be just kind of using your images and slapping quotes on it anyway. So you may as well be the one to do it, and just make sure to put your website at the bottom and your name. Use something like Canva if you're going to be whatever kind of artist you are. Canva's got all the preset templates, whether it's Facebook or Google+ or Twitter. It's got the header images, it's got the square size, it's got them for ads. So it saves you having to kind of go back and size them properly. So I've given this size cheat sheet, but if you want a really easy method, use canva.com, because it already has them pre-sized for you. So that will save you a lot of time. But the biggest thing is, like I said, take advantage of the cover photo and start using it to connect it to your brand and connect it to your website and talk about the services you offer or where you're located or if you've got a sale or things like that. So this is my Twitter cover photo, and not too long ago I found out that I was in the top 25 social media YouTube channels. So this is actually created in Canva, so I just created a little banner basically with this as kind of a promotion. So when people land on my Twitter profile, they can see that. You can do the same sort of thing for any of the social networks. And this is my profile picture here, and you can see I've even included my name, and because I do social media, so obviously some social media icons. So that helps to brand me as a social media specialist as well. So this is my Facebook cover. This is actually my personal cover. So I've got my website down the side here. I've got my Facebook link, and then I've got, now it's not that it's keyworded, but people can actually see it. So if they come to my personal profile on Facebook, they can see all the different things that I'm interested in: social media, photography, you know, I love food and movies and traveling and stuff like that. So it kind of creates a branding perspective of me as a person. And it's even got my link here, so if people wanted to find out more, they could actually go and find my website. Now, obviously, there's other places that you would have that on your Facebook profile as well. But when it comes to your cover photo on your Facebook page, now this one is really, really important. And a year ago, Facebook had lots and lots of rules about this, that you couldn't advertise, you couldn't have more than 20% text. Who remembers that? Who actually had to deal with that?
Yeah.
So that, just so you know, that no longer applies. I'm not sure if you realize that change had taken place. It's probably about 8 months ago or so now. But you can, it's a free-for-all basically, because they were never policing it properly anyway, so they just gave up. So this is a really good way of having calls to action basically. So sometimes you'll see people, they'll have an arrow over to the like button, and keep in mind Facebook changes its format all the time, so the like button might end up over here at some point, so your image won't be congruent with it. But you should be changing your image on a weekly basis or every couple weeks anyway, because again, it's just a big place. It's like a billboard for you to advertise. So this person is going to be having a free webinar, and click here. If you think about it, because it says it and it kind of looks like a button, people are going to click on it. Now, it's not actually a button to click on, but it does actually bring you to a place where you can find out more information. So I'm just going to bring this up here.
To the description of the photo, and that is a perfect place when you're describing your cover photo. Put your URL in there.
Yes.
Put your website URL in there, because people will click on it, and then it just gives them. Because you know how social media is, it's the down the rabbit hole. I get sucked down the rabbit hole. If someone puts a URL,
Yes.
like hit it, it's right? So put it in there.
Well, and the cover images are also shareable images too. So every time you update your cover photo, you can just keep a variety of them in there and change them. So you can see right here, when I'm putting the mouse over to click it, that pop-up description, which is taking a long time to come up now again. So if I just click on it, which is what you would naturally do, it goes to the description. So she's actually got a link in here, so you can go and grab your seat to the webinar. So if you've got a discount offer, if you've got a sale going on, if you want to direct people to your website and you've got a free checklist or something that you have to opt in and collect emails, any of that you can put in the description, and it's actually a clickable link. So that's one of the biggest ways that you can start using Facebook for your work, and to try and get people to your website and not just hanging out on Facebook, or get them to your gallery or something like that if you've got a portfolio on your website. So you can use those links in a lot of different ways. So just make sure that you start thinking about any of your social media as real estate, like a billboard. So this is another example. So in Facebook and in Google+, it does lead to a description. So that's really useful to put in a link. In the others, it doesn't necessarily. But YouTube, this is the cover art. So YouTube is a really funny one. The cover size is really awkward, and I can share a template. Actually, I'll put it where the cheat sheet is, because it's really got funny sizes, and it's because it's made for TV, and then this tiny little portion in the middle is what you see here. So you can see James Wedmore. He specializes in video marketing, so you can see it's all very branded. Clicking here, there's like arrows and things to encourage you to click. These are actual, on his website, on his YouTube channel, are actually clickable. So instead of just having his website, which normally just says website, this 3-step YouTube formula is actually a landing page or an opt-in page. So he's getting you to click right over to somewhere that he's going to collect your email so he can market to you later. And then make sure that you've actually got your social networks in there, and that's just, there's a lot of other things I could talk about YouTube, but we'll just leave it at the images for now. So you can see that it's very branded and kind of promotionally oriented. And this is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, you can have a cover photo only if you pay for the premium membership. So this is a LinkedIn expert that lives here locally. and she's just written a book, so she's obviously got her book as her background cover. So there's lots of different ways that you can promote your own work on all different social networks that will help you to drive traffic to wherever you want people to use them. So don't just upload a picture with no text, or that's okay once in a while, but try and think about your graphics and that a little more strategically. Does anyone have any questions before I just go over the quick checklist?
I do. What if you're using your Instagram to post directly to social media?
Yeah, do you get any juice from hashtagging that way? I was just thinking that. Is that your question?
Yeah, hashtags for sure you can use. I've stopped screen sharing now, so can everybody see me?
We can see it.
Okay, so hashtags are kind of the only way in Instagram that you're going to go back and find the images again, unless it's in your own newsfeed. They kind of get lost, and that's something that I don't really like about Instagram. And that's there, you put them up there and then they kind of just disappear. So that's where something like your website has a lot more longevity, or even things like Facebook. You've got a portfolio or a photo album, and Pinterest, you've got albums or boards. Flickr, you've got albums. So those have more longevity. But one trick that I saw somebody, and this is for Twitter as well, in your description, like your little bio card at the top, you've got 150 characters or whatever it is, depending on each social network. You can actually put a link in there and change your link. So for instance, if you've got, like for myself, maybe I've got a portrait session sale going on for the month of August, I could, in my Instagram description, I could actually have a link to my sale page for that, so people can actually maybe sign up and buy. So you can change out your links as well, and most people just have it right to their website, but you could have it to an opt-in form. If you're creating an online course, you could direct people to sign up for it. If you've got a promo code or something like that for, a discount code for your special customers, you can put that directly in your Twitter bio or in your LinkedIn bio. Your Instagram bio at the top, and keep changing out those links, and that will kind of get people to, when they first discover you, they tend to read your bio and then go and click on that link. So lead them somewhere that's going to get you some benefit out of it.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Any other questions?
I think we're good.
All right, so I will just kind of go over the summary. So Shana, I gave you a link yesterday, so I just put this slide deck onto a page on my website if people want to go over it and look at it. And on there is this image optimization checklist. So just a few things to kind of recap and think about. So is the image the correct size and format? And you can see that that's not necessarily an easy question. You've just kind of got to just set up your own routine and do the same thing over and over. And then, eventually something's going to change and monitors will get, better quality, like the Retina display too. But just have an idea of at least knowing that there's a file size formula, basically. Decide on the appropriate image naming scheme for your target market and your goals. So we've talked about choosing keywords for your location, whether it's modern furniture, vintage furniture, things like that. Looking at hashtags that are already being used, or look at your competitors for ideas. So think about that for a series of pictures that you might be uploading. And then make sure that you name all of the images before you actually upload. And then if it's on your website or wherever you're posting it, make sure that you actually use the title and the alt tags. And just kind of something that I told Shana before, the alt tags are actually not supposed to be there for SEO originally. It's alternative text. So if people are visually impaired, it basically was describing the image. If you moused over it and it would say, like the Mona Lisa, would say something like, beautiful woman with long hair smiling. So it was actually describing the image. So if people couldn't see it properly, the alt tag was describing that image. So describing a logo, it might say blue, red, white swirls, company name, Bright Spark Media. So we've kind of changed how it's being used. Marketers have started to change what alt tags actually are used for. So that was just a little tidbit on the aside. Make sure when you upload your pictures to your website, make sure that you're linking somewhere useful, like whether it's to your video or to another blog post or a social network. Make sure that you actually use that link and drive it either within your website, which is good for SEO, going between pages, or like in my case, it was to the actual video. See if you can repurpose or share the images elsewhere. So where can you keep reusing those images, and maybe share a blog post onto Twitter, or that image, like I said, I create specific graphics for my show, and then I upload it to Pinterest as well. So you can use the images in lots of different ways, and those are tagged back to my actual website. And then using social media and the images, the banner photos, or even if it's just the shareable pictures, can you do it as some kind of promotion or announcement? Make sure you add a call to action into those images so that you get people clicking on it and wanting to find out more about you. So basically using your images on social media as a billboard for your services.
Beautiful.
So that's pretty much covers everything.
Fabulous. How's everyone feeling with this? Does it feel manageable? Does it feel overwhelming? I know for me it feels like I've heard of this stuff before and I've only applied like a quarter of it. But I have seen with the little bit I've done some return on the investment in my time. Does it feel, how does it feel, you guys? I feel like this is a lot of stuff?
Yeah.
Yes, it is a lot of stuff.
But just think, pick a couple of things to do. Just do one or two things, and just by doing those few things, you're going to start getting more results. And once you've kind of mastered that, and that's, you know, old school for you, then add another thing into it. So it's just kind of adding to your repertoire and building the habit of kind of having that keyword structure in the back of your mind with your images. So just do one or two things.
Getting familiar with the whole language of keywords, the whole process. Once you start doing it a little bit here, a little bit there, it starts to become automatic. So, you know, you get used to your doing your hashtags on Instagram. Once you realize how it works and why it works and how it can benefit you, then it becomes a game. Then it's fun.
Yeah.
Hashtagging over here, this other way, then you start tagging. You know, once you get a hang of it, it's your calling card. It's your way of getting people to find you. So don't look at it as extra work. Just do what feels fun and good, and then you're gonna get kind of addicted to it because it is really fun.
And the other thing too is to put yourself in the mind of your customer or your client, and think of, or even yourself, when you're searching for something, what words are you using to search for whatever services that you're looking for? So try and imagine yourself as the client. What are they going to be looking for? And just as an example, one of the airlines in the UK is one of the budget airlines. So we have WestJet here in England. It's Ryanair or EasyJet. When they did their first marketing campaign, they used the keyword phrase inexpensive airlines or something like that. And then they realized that they weren't getting as much traffic as they thought, so they went back and looked at the keyword tools and looked at the research and analytics and started to see that customers were searching for, can you guess what they were searching for? What would you look for when you... Cheap flights. So they learned from their customers that this is the words that they are exactly using to search. So you might think people are searching for something, but then you have to go back and actually use the Google keyword tool and see what people are actually searching for. And even things like me, not just photographer, but photography. So I can be, you know, like Toronto wedding photographer, Toronto wedding photography, and they will get different search results. So for yourselves too, like modern kitchen or contemporary kitchen might get different search results. So kind of play with those things too.
Fabulous.
Beautiful.
Great stuff.
And I just wanted to add something really quick to
Sure.
everything that you talked about today. I know you mentioned maybe not adding your name, but I, as an artist, and I've been adding my name. I've added my name to all of the photographs that I've uploaded online, and it's kind of helped, I think, with credibility. So now when you, like, who's this Desiree East that everyone was talking about? When you Google my name, my artwork comes up, and like maybe some pictures of us today will come up.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. So as an artist, for sure, having your name in your pictures, definitely. Like as a photographer, I'll do it more than for social media. So because your artwork is so linked to you, that's a really good point. So yeah, like you said, it's not just credibility, but it gets in front of people to see, ooh, who is this person?
Absolutely. Fabulous. I think we're good. Anybody have any other questions? Go ahead.
I just don't really know how to ask this question, but I've heard many times that each page, like, I don't know if this applies to both a blog post and a page, but that you optimize each page for one particular keyword. And I think I end up spending a lot of time trying to optimize the page, and I've used WordPress and I use the plugin, was it Yoast?
Yeah.
For SEO, and so I'm like trying to give it a green dot when it comes down to the SEO, and and I use the keyword tool and everything, but then I have a really hard time actually implementing the name into the copy or the title of the page, because let's say that we're talking about like lately a project, it was Houston Brazilian Festival, and so the keyword that we would use would be festivals in Houston 2014, and that would be like the best search results, etc. But then naming the pages that, or putting it on the first paragraph and whatnot, it just turned out to be really difficult. Are there any tips that you can suggest on that?
Well, like you said, using those tools help. There's another one, I can't remember it off the top of my head, so again, I'll try and come back to that and find the link for it. That it does help you with choosing the keywords, and it's, like you said, it's kind of a green light sort of thing. So that there's so much that Google has changed over the last number of years, and they update their algorithm like dozens of times a year. So they're trying to avoid people beating the system, and they're leaning more towards a more natural, organic way of talking in your blog, basically, instead of padding it with keywords. I know some people who show up in search and care absolutely nothing about SEO. Ramit Sethi is the guy's name, and he's a business coach. And if you look at his videos, there is no description. He doesn't have it titled properly. His blog posts have nothing to do with SEO, and yet he's been found. So if it's really going to stress you out and it's taking up a lot of your time, then it's better to create more blog posts, more videos, more content with kind of keeping your keywords in mind, but create more content and worry less about like the really nitty-gritty specifics of it, because that's the part that you're probably not enjoying, and then it's going to stop you from even wanting to do it in the first place. So like I said, the first thing to look at is the title, like the first 5 words of it. So if you can get at least your location in there, or like you said, festival, Houston, and whatever words are important in the first 5 words, in the first 1 or 2 sentences, and in the last 1 or 2 sentences, and then make sure that you repeat it, within the blog post. Like, for instance, Toyota Prius. So instead of just having Toyota Prius, you would have energy efficient car, or environmentally friendly car, environmentally friendly automobile. So you can kind of think of words when you're writing your paragraphs and your description, using phrasing it in different ways. But I've kind of stopped focusing on that as much, because it really did stop me from writing. And so now I kind of write more in a free-form way. And like I said, the one thing that I concentrate on is the first sentence and the last sentence, and in between having the keywords a few more times. Because using the plugins is, like you said, it's a lot of work to do that too, and to look at the title and the meta tags and all that. However, if you look on your blog post, there's an excerpt section. Make sure that you use that. I think it's something like 200 characters. So that's what Google is picking up. So when you look on any search result, the first 2 sentences are actually what you've put in that. It says excerpt, I think, is what it says. Otherwise, it picks up the first couple sentences of your blog post, which may or may not be ideally suited.
Yeah, I think that's a great tool, because it really allows you to have a more human tone when you're writing, and then in that description you take the synopsis and the very kind of the keywords of what you're saying and put that in there so that it's great. That's what Google takes, and that's when people, you probably do too. When you're searching something, you have the top 5 searches, and you kind of look at those first few words. Is this really what I want? Are they really talking about what I'm looking for? I read that stuff, those 2 lines all the time.
Is that the meta description, or is that the excerpt, like under?
That's the excerpt.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Cool. Very useful.
Did you want me to look at the keyword tool with you, or are you moving on to something else? Because
you know what? If you want to pull that up, I'm going to get everyone started on lunch.
Okay. I don't have it open. I actually don't use it that often. Like I said, because I go for a more organic approach, and I just kind of look around at what other people in my industry are using for terms and things like that.
We don't have to go over it. It's not.
Okay.
It's really not a big deal. Sure. We've gotten so much information already. I don't want to like overwhelm everybody either.
Awesome. Okay.
That was awesome, Angelique. Thank you so much. You are a wealth of wisdom. Just so amazing. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for having me on the show. And Shana, I've left the link there. I messaged it to you yesterday if you just want to let people know. I've got the slide deck there for them too, and the cheat sheet, and there's even some bonuses for Canva on there too.
Yay!
Right, so good luck with the rest of your course, everybody. Bye.
Bye.